Hello.
Hello, hello. Good evening. Good
Good evening.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Whatever time of day it is that you're watching. Hello. It's Saturday and we are back again. I am Barbara Milburn
And I'm Joseph Milburn.
and together we are Team Milburn. And so we want to invite you to come on in, pull up a chair, sit down, just chat with us for about 30 minutes. We're not going to keep you long. We know that everybody's out buying, especially in Maryland. Everybody's out buying their bread, milk, and toilet paper because we are bracing for another snowstorm. Seems like every weekend when we come before you, we're either snowed in, getting ready for a snow to come. We're getting ready this time because we're supposed to have snow starting tomorrow evening, I believe it is, and going into Monday morning. They tell us that we won't get as much as we did last time. Last time we got close to a foot of snow. This time they're only looking for maybe half that amount. But I'm prepared. I don't care how hard it snow. I ain't got to go nowhere. I ain't got no job to go to. I got food in my refrigerator, thank the Lord. I got toilet paper in my cupboard, thank the Lord. I don't drink milk, and I got bread, so I got everything that I need. So come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. Thank you guys for joining us again for Black and Married with Kids. We want to thank Dr. Dunamis D and her daughter Ariel Fuller, who are the owners of Black and Married with Kids, for allowing us to come in and take over their platform for just a short while. And it gives us a chance to talk about some of the issues that we have in our lives, just to share some conversations with you. We have a wonderful team, and each day of the week, except for Wednesday and Sunday, somebody comes before you with some information that I'm sure you can use. And I promise you, if you listen to all of us, not just us, but all of us, you are guaranteed to get some nuggets to bring away that you can apply to your own relationship. And that's our whole purpose. So come on in, come on in, come on in. If you're just jumping in, again, I'm Barbara Milburn.
And I'm Joe Milburn.
Together we are Team Milburn. And we are here for the Black and Married with Kids Takeover. Our segment is called Marriage After 70 because we're both over 70, after 70, however you want to say that.
Yes.
We're old. How about that? So thank you for joining us. Our topic today is do-over. And I guess you might think, well, didn't they just talk about that last week and the week before? But when you have been together as long as we've been together, there are a lot of things that if you sit and think about, let it resonate in your heart, you can find numerous things that you could do over, hopefully for the better. But when you look back, my grandmother used to say, hindsight is 2020. When you look back, you see all of the things that you have lived through, all of the things that God has brought you through. You can almost always find ways to do something that you did a little bit better. So come on in, come on in, come on in. I see Sister Lillian is there. I'm trying to see who's here. Hey, Angie.
Demeter Tones.
Wow, Angie joined us. Angie? But I'm glad you guys are with us. But you know, we, at least I think, this is just my opinion, some of our topics have been not too serious. We've kind of skated around just some of the many, many things that we could tell you about being married for as long as we've been married. Now, Joe and I told you way back, and if you've missed some of our segments, I just go back and catch the replays. We got married in 1981. So from 1981 to 2026, that's coming up on 45 years. And we have not been with each other all of those years because we hit some roadblocks around year 25, I believe it was.
Around 25, yes.
We separated. We subsequently got a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got remarried again a couple years back. So we have really been in each other's lives for almost 50 years. So tonight we're just going to talk about some of the things that we have seen over these 43 years. Everybody always wants to celebrate that 43 years. They're like, wow, y'all been together 43 years. How do you do it? Well, it wasn't easy. And there are a lot of things that we would have liked to have done differently.
Mm-hmm.
But we were young when we first got married, and we were following behind what we saw from other couples, from our parents, just what we saw in life. And I always say, everybody tells you to just do it, but nobody shows you how. And I always say this too, you cannot show me a couple who has been married 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, and they've not had some problems. They've always had some problems. But the thing of it is how do you work through those problems? Now, because of the teachings of Dr. Dunamis D, we have come to understand that marriage is a covenant.
Yes.
When we first got married, it was more, it was a contract. If you don't do this, then I'm not going to do that. If I'm mad, then you ain't getting none tonight. If he mad, he might stay out late. It's just a whole bunch of tit for tat, doing things to antagonize each other, to get on each other's nerves, and not really having enough wherewithal to consider that the things that you are doing back and forth are just pushing you further and further apart. So do me a favor. First, drop in the chat how many years you've been married. If you are a couple on here, let me know how many years you have been together. If you're not a couple, but you were married at one time before, drop in the chat how many years you were married to your spouse. Also drop in the chat where you're from. And let me know that too, because I would just like to get a synopsis. I can't even get the word out today. I'd just like to know where you all are. We're in Maryland. I know Sister Lillian is in Oklahoma. Angie, she's in the DC area. Just Melody, she's in the DC area. Demita, she's also in Oklahoma. Sister Geraldine, I'm sorry, sweetie. I don't know what state you represent, but I know it ain't none of the ones that I already named.
Cynthia Johnson says she's been married 49 years.
Wow, Cynthia. So you probably could teach us some stuff.
Yes.
Because longevity doesn't necessarily mean that the marriage was healthy. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest things that we had to learn is that submission, which is what they teach us in religion, is more than just being silent. And that the silence doesn't always equal peace. Because sometimes that silence can bring bitterness, resentment, anger, frustration. There's so many different emotions that can come from just holding your peace. And because we are over 70, and because we are following the kingdom teachings of Dr. Dunamis D, we understand things a whole lot differently now than we did before. Now, one of the things that Joe likes to talk about is communication. That's always his number one word, communicate. So you want to?
Yes, I can go. 43 years is a long time, and we have seen joy, we have seen storms, we have had misunderstandings, we had growth, sacrifices, and we had grace. But today, if I could go back I would learn to communicate sooner. I would have learned sooner that being right isn't important.
Oh, wow.
As being unified. Okay. I would listen to understand instead of being ready to respond, cutting you off, not letting you get your point out. You know, back then it was a lot of pride, that I want to be right. I got to win this argument, But now that I'm so far in years, I can understand that wasn't important.
It really was.
It wasn't important. The important thing was to be connected. Communication isn't about winning. It's about being connected.
About being connected.
And that's what I would try to do over and do more efficiently, not trying to win every argument, because after you win this argument, a month later, it was a hill of beans.
Right. It really didn't mean anything.
Not a thing.
A lot of things I find that we may have disagreed about in our younger years, to me, it just really is not even worth wasting my energy on.
Exactly.
As Mama D would always say, you put your energy on something that's more beneficial, that's more helpful. Go pray. Worship. You can worship your way through a lot. And that's something that I definitely did not know in the beginning. Were we both in the church? Yes. Did we both know the Bible? Yes. He's shaking his head. No, I'm saying yes. But I cannot honestly say that what I knew and what I learned in the church really navigated me in the right path to have a marriage that was fruitful, and to have a marriage that could always be binded together. Because if that were true, we wouldn't have separated.
Right.
And a lot of times I say that if I had known, I always say God, but it's really Christ. If I knew Christ those years back, I would have known how to stay and fight for the marriage. I would have known how to go into spiritual warfare for the marriage. I would have known how, and hopefully would have had sisters like the kinds of sisters that I have now, who could help me pray through situations, instead of having sisters who sat on the phone with me and helped me. You know that song, break up the makeup, that's all we do. You say I'm wrong, we argue, I say it's me, we got to get together. Well, my friends, of course, would help me badmouth my husband. And the ones who weren't married would say, well, I don't know why you put up with that. If I were you, I wouldn't do this. And if I were you, I wouldn't do that, when they weren't me. But like Mama D always teaches us about that middle voices that you have in your head, because a lot of times you really might know what you think you should do, and then you go and share something that happened in your relationship with somebody else, and maybe that person might not even be in a good spirit that particular day, or they might even be a little bit jealous, because I honestly do have, I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but I honestly do have some girlfriends who weren't married, didn't have a significant other, weren't looking for a significant other, and were quick to tell me what they wouldn't do or what they wouldn't put up with, when they really had no basis to try to talk about the subject at all. They had no knowledge, experience when it came to having a long-term relationship. They were so quick to tell me, well, I wouldn't do that and I wouldn't do this, but that's not how it should be. And now, when sisters come to me and want to tell me about their marriage, I will listen. And then I will offer my honest opinion of what I think, but I'm not ever going to say, well, you should leave him. Unless he's beating you. That's a different subject.
Right.
I'm not ever going to say, well, I would never do that, because we should never say never, because we never know what we might have to do
Right.
as life comes at us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so being able to look back and just see some of the things that we could have done differently. And I go back to saying that marriage is a covenant and not a contract, because once you understand, and I know I keep talking about Mama D today, but I remember the first time I heard the lesson where we talked about our I do was not unto the man,
right,
but it was unto Christ.
Praise Jesus.
I was like, wow, why didn't somebody tell me that 2 marriages ago?
Let me clear up something.
Okay.
I shook my head that no about the Bible.
Okay.
And the reason why I shook my head, because yes, I know the Bible, I know a Bible, but I didn't know the word that the Bible had, that the roadmap.
Okay.
That, navigate you through life, God's kingdom. That's why I said no.
Okay.
But on the other hand, you have to be in Christ to have a covenant marriage.
You do.
And
you do.
You have to understand his principle.
Right. Which we didn't know before.
We didn't know when we got married earlier. We was just doing what we saw either on television or in life.
In fact, we weren't really members of a congregation when we got married in 1981. And my sister, she has always been really involved in church. And so I went to her and I asked her if she would talk to her pastor to see if he would marry us. And at first he said no. But then later on, he changed his mind. I do understand his thinking, and I guess it was because he knew neither one of us belonged to any particular church ministry. And I think he thought that because we didn't belong to an edifice per se, that we didn't know the Lord.
Right.
We did
know the Lord.
We just weren't going to church every Sunday. When I was a young child coming up, my grandmother used to drag me to church every Sunday. And I always said that when I grew up, nobody was going to drag me anyway. So for a number of years, I didn't go on a regular basis. I was one of those Mother's Day, New Year's Eve, Easter, and maybe Good Friday, 4 times a year. Other than that, I wasn't going. Did I read my Bible? Yes. Did I pray? Yes. Did I say my grace? Yes. But I wasn't in the church building every week. So once he agreed to marry us, a few years down the road, we did join a congregation that was in our neighborhood, and we thought it was the congregation that was best suited for us at the time. At least that's where God sent us, and that's where we stayed for quite a number of years. I think until we actually separated.
Well,
no, because when we separated,
you was at Antioch.
Right. But I was talking about Brown's. That was the first church that I joined, because it was right around the corner. I could walk there. I didn't need the car, and I knew a lot of people. I kind of grew up in this neighborhood, so I could always get a ride to and fro and didn't have to worry about driving, because if y'all haven't figured it out yet, I don't like to drive.
But I was in church for years. Even at the younger years. I did all the Bible school and vacation Bible school and youth organizations that was in church. You had to learn all the words, of the scriptures, and, you had to stand before the people and recite them. Yes, I've done all of that. And when we separated, we was at Antioch.
Right, we were.
Yes, and you left, and I continued there.
Right, because he was or is an ordained deacon.
Okay, yes.
And his ordination was during the time that we were actually separated, because he kind of thought that that was going to hinder him from
being a deacon.
But Bishop said
he's okay.
Voluntold.
But anyway, you do have to have a life with Christ.
You do.
And the journey that we had, them 45 years, I'm doing 2 years before, that it wasn't easy. It was hard, and we learned as we went. And we learned some good stuff, we learned some bad stuff, but we still persevered.
Everybody is saying, Sister Lillian, Melody, everybody is saying we are the church. And we know that now, but back then we didn't.
Right.
We thought that you really had to swing in them doors every time they opened. And in all honesty, a lot of times the religion per se is what splits up a lot of people, because usually it's the woman that's in the church all the time. The man gets tired because she's always there. So then that's another obstacle that they have to get over.
Yes.
They have to get over. But marriage isn't always about finding the right person. It's about becoming the right partner.
Yes.
Over and over and over again, because we grow, we change
every day.
We're not the same people that we were when we first got married back in 1981. Sometimes he looks at me and says, I don't know you at all anymore.
True.
And sometimes, I don't know myself. And as we have learned in Dunamis, you are always evolving. You are always changing. You all are always getting to know who you are. And you can't really thrive until you get to the point where you do know who you are, understand what you feel on the inside, understand just, what your triggers are. I'm learning that. My triggers, I'm getting to the point where I kind of know, there was back in the day, something would hit me the wrong way, and the next thing you know, I'm howling, screaming at somebody, and I would always feel so embarrassed. But now I know how to understand that feeling. When it starts to rise up in me, I know that I need to back up. I need to breathe. I need to count to 10, and I need to say, Lord, help me. And then sometimes just be silent. And I know I said a little while ago that silence sometimes brings bitterness, but it's not silent and being silent forever. Knowing when to speak and when not to speak is so important. Because sometimes, say we have a disagreement about something, and I might be a little heated at that particular time, and so I might just go away. What I usually do is retreat to the bedroom. I'll go to the bedroom or come up in here in my prayer room, and I'll just stay here for a while. Do we keep talking to each other? Yes. Do we keep communicating with each other? Yes. Do we still do everything that we normally do? We eat together, we sleep together, we do all those things. But I'm still a little tooted back there in my mind. But I know that if I wait, that there's going to come an opportunity, that topic is going to come up again. I would have had some time to think about it. I would have had some time to, just kind of role play some things in my head. And so when it comes up again, I'm prepared to say what it was that really ticked me off before, but in a more calmer manner. And it's always received much better than it would have been if I had just flew off the handle and blew up the first time and start howling and screaming.
And what I do the 3 P's. I pause, I pray, and then I proceed. And a lot of times after I do that, the situation within me is much calmer, and I can look at it in a different light and just say, it's not worth it. Let it go.
Yeah. So even though there's sometimes that I don't really feel what you're talking about, don't understand what you're talking about. The longevity isn't the miracle. The miracle is the growth.
Exactly.
That we experience as we are learning to get along better.
Navigate this life.
Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead.
I want to just stop a minute and thank Apostle D, Professor Aria Fuller, and for allowing us the time to be on their platform, just to take it over for this amount of time. And I just want to thank them.
I was getting ready to say that, but since you beat me to it, that's okay. That's okay. But if you are willing to grow, then your marriage can grow too. Nothing stays the same. You're always going to be evolving. You're always going to have to put in the work. That's what we hear a lot in Dunamis. Put in the work. Go through the process. There's just so much that we can learn if we take the time to really sit down and just listen to each other. Sometimes we're so busy rehearsing what we want to say when the person finishes talking. Like, do you ever, when somebody is talking to you, already in your head, you're rehearsing what your response is going to be when they stop talking. But if you're doing that, and I'm guilty, if you're doing that, then you haven't heard what they said.
Exactly.
And if you don't hear what they say, then how can you honestly respond?
You are trying to get your point out more so than listening to what they're talking
what it is
about.
That they have to say.
Yes.
And the listening is so important. And as we have learned in Dunamis, in the middle of heart, Heart, is ear.
Ear.
And that's because we have to hear in order to understand. And when we hear, it connects with our heart. And it makes the relationship between the two people, and it doesn't have to be two married people. It could be a mother and a daughter, a father and a son, cousins, sisterhood. I have a huge sisterhood through Dunamis. But we still have to listen to each other. And that's the one thing, well, not the one thing, that is one of the many things that I love so much about my Dunamis family, is that we listen to each other. We pray for each other. When one is hurting, we all hurt. When one is celebrating, we all celebrate. And that's a big part of a marriage. You know, nothing is ever going to be perfect. There's no perfect people. There's no perfect marriage. There's no perfect relationship. And I say this all the time, just because y'all look at us, because we got gray hair, and 9 times out of 10, if you see us walking together, we're holding hands, and you think, oh, they so cute. I wish I had what they do. No, you don't.
You don't. You don't know the journey.
I used to say this. I thought about this yesterday, and I kind of chuckled about it. When we were going through the period of time where we were not on good terms, and just stuff just wasn't right, y'all. I don't know what else to say. It just wasn't right. And we would go into church on Sunday morning, holding hands, and people would look at us and they'd say, "Oh man, I want that. I want that." And in my mind, I wouldn't say it to them, but in my mind, I would say, no, you don't. I used to call Sunday Happy Married Couples Day, because that was the day that we put on our masks and held hands and went to the church and worshiped and said, praise the Lord. And we came home, and then we might not really even talk to each other no more till next Sunday. That's a fact. To look at us now, you probably would never think that. But we've had some experiences that I'm not even really sure how we made it through. And I guess we really didn't, because if we had, we wouldn't have separated when we did. We wouldn't have divorced when we did. But God had a better plan. Mm-hmm. Outside of what our plan was, and he brought us back around to each other, because what God has for me and for you is for us. And apparently when he assigned us to each other, he said, he probably laughed and he says, oh my God, what are my poor children doing? What are they doing? So again, thank you, Dr. Dunamis D and Ariel Fuller, who are the owners of Black and Married with Kids, for giving us this opportunity to have this discussion, to have some of our sisters and brothers to just, share some comments with us. I would like for you guys to just put in the chat some of your main challenges. That was Cynthia, who said she had been married 49 years. Yes. Cynthia, if you're still listening to me, can you give me one of your biggest hurdles in 49 years? Somebody who has only been married, I'm going to say less than 10 years. Tell me what your biggest hurdle has been in your less than 10 years. If there's anybody who's been...
I want to, since you've given that challenge out, Jacqueline Russell, she's been married 41 years.
Yes.
And
Jacqueline, what's your biggest challenge?
Yes.
Share that with us. Mm-hmm. All of you guys, share with me what your biggest challenge has been. I would like to see what some of yours are. I think for us, Joe worked a lot of hours, and then he had a side business. I had a side business, and so I used to say we were like two ships passing in the night. A lot of times I really, because he didn't write many notes, I really would have to leave him notes. Joe, da-da-da-da-da, and leave it somewhere where I knew he was going to see it, in order for us to have some kind of communication, so that he would know what was going on in the house, because he wasn't here that often. Now, a lot of my friends challenged me, and our separation didn't have anything to do with that. Let me say that, because yes. I had a big disagreement with one of my friends, because she tried to tell me, well, if you separated, it had to be more than just he wasn't home. Well, you wasn't here. But he was gone so frequently. We saw each other kind of infrequently. Sunday, happy married couples day. But then we didn't see each other sometimes until the next. Plus, he worked nights. I worked days. Mm-hmm. It was just a whole bunch of things that put into it. But I got so frustrated to the point where I felt like, well, shoot, we don't see each other anyway. So what is the point? At least if I'm by myself, he's by himself. If I want to get up in the middle of the night and go out and party, I ain't got to explain where I'm going. I ain't got to say why I'm getting dressed. I ain't got to say when I'm coming back. I can just go. And so I kind of felt like that freedom was something that I was missing, because I didn't understand everything else that was going on. But God worked it out, and we're back together again. And this time I ain't going nowhere. I don't care how mad he make me. I ain't going. I'm going to stay and fight. I'm going to call on my sisters, and we're going to war in the spirit, and we're going to pray, and we're going to fast, and we're going to do all of those things that we need to do in order to conquer those things that the enemy tries to make us believe.
And I'm not going anywhere.
Y'all heard that?
Just say that. I'm not going anywhere. It was all real misunderstanding, and it was because of communication.
That was the biggest part of it. Yes.
That's why I'm so down on, please communicate. Communicate. Whether it's good or bad, communicate. At least you understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm. So tonight we have told some truths. 43 years from 1981 until now, we have admitted that we didn't always get it right.
Mm.
We didn't always understand. We have learned that silence can sometimes build resentment. We have learned that love doesn't always mean you like each other.
True.
Some days he don't like me too much, and some days I don't like him too much. But we're still a team.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to allow anybody to come in and try to break the team apart, because I'm not his opponent and he's not my opponent. That we got to stick together. And in order to stick together, we have to do this together.
And by not being each other's opponents, we are a team. We are together and in relationship and love and understanding. And now I can go with the vow, let no one put us under.
What the Lord has put together.
Yes.
What the Lord has put together. Now, before we leave, I ran off last week and I didn't get to do this, and I felt really bad. Dr. Dunamis D and Ariel Fuller has given us this opportunity to use her platform, but we aren't the only ones.
Mm-hmm.
There's a team of us, and we're here on different days of the week. So I invite you to come back and follow us. On Mondays at 12 noon, we have Sister Glenda Bailey Hayden, and she has a Mom's Minute, which I think is the cutest little thing because she has a break right in the middle of the day, 12 noon. For moms who might be home with their children all day long, for moms who are thirsting for some adult conversation, she always has some excellent tips on how to focus on yourself and how to give yourself that self-care that you always need. And then at 7 p.m., also on Monday, we have Maisha and Kevin Booker. Their main topic is infidelity, but they have a wealth of knowledge, and they look at some hard topics. They don't back down. I got to give it to both them and Lisa and Garrett White, because they've had some really difficult topics, and they just real with it. On Tuesday at 8:00, we have Pastor Gail and Pastor Stan Whitfield talking about faith in marriage. Thursday is Lisa and Garrett's night. Their topic really is communication. And then on Friday, we have Quetta J. And last night, Quetta J had her mom on, and she was such a blessing. So if you missed it, I encourage you to go back and watch the replay. Her mom was just a wealth of wisdom, and I enjoyed listening to her. And Quetta, I hope you will invite her back again, because she really was a joy. So guys, our time is about up. Thank you for coming. Thank you for continuing to come, because most of you I see are here all the time. I see Bonita. Hey, Bonita, how you doing? I'm seeing new people, and I'm loving it, because usually we see the same faces, but I'm glad the word is spreading. Hey, Chandrea, I don't want to leave you out. Hey, Chandrea. But come back next Saturday, same time, same place, Black and Married with Kids. On behalf of Dr. Dunamis D and Ariel Fuller, we thank you for being here. We thank you for sitting with us for these 30 minutes, and we invite you to come back again. And please, guys, drop some things in the comments that we can, because I mean, it looked like we got some good comments this weekend. I'm loving that, because I always like to go back a little later and see what has been said and what I can respond to. Sometimes you guys kind of like trip me up. I'll be like, ooh, I don't know how to answer that one. But I appreciate you being there. I love you guys so much. And we will see you all. Did I forget anything?
No. Next week.
We will see you all next week.
And bring a friend.
Bring a friend.
Bring a friend.
Like, as Maisha says, like, tag, subscribe. Bing. He was supposed to go bing.
Oh, yeah. Bing.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you next week.
Forgot.